data, right? You will have to set up certain events, or basically touch points. You will have to go and give it to your engineering team that you want uh, to capture these specific user journeys, or you want to capture these specific user actions. So what you have to do is you have to define what exactly are you going to capture, and how are you planning to analyze that data. So until and unless you have a clear cut goal of what you're trying to achieve, you will be unable to specify what data points you need to capture. And if you are at specifying what data points to capture, you should also have a way to understand how are you planning to analyze the data. A very common mistake I have seen in my experience product managers do is they get the data, but they have no clue about how exactly that data has to make sense of. So what happens is, um, the analysis part of the data becomes biased. It's like you are manipulating the data in a way that is helping you achieve certain conclusions, reach certain conclusions. But that is not what the goal of a product manager should be. The goal of a product manager should be to first have a firm plan of how exactly you plan to capture that data, and how are you planning to make sense of it. Okay, guys, I've seen a lot of people saying they cannot hear anything. I guess everybody can hear. I'm audible to everyone. Um, Now one of the important questions a lot of product managers also ask is, when do you use product analytics? Let's say I am a very early stage startup. Just launched my product. You don't want to start analyzing analytics at that point in time, because you need to have such, because this is quantitative data. It only makes sense when it is aggregated, when you have sufficient number of user points, or users to make sense of the data. Let's say only 5 people are using my product, and all the 5 people are having a problem in signing up. That is a clear cut signal that your engineering team, there's some engineering defect in that particular sign up flow. But if 5 out of 5 users, one person is able to sign up, one person has been able to book a session, one person has been able to comment on a session, that is not enough data for you to understand which features worked out best, which features did not work out best. Or if you are putting product analytics in terms of A/B tests or split tests, where you are giving different journeys to different users, then also you need to have a minimum user base to actually say, conclude that this is a quantitative data which gives an overall aggregate value of what my user base is doing with my product. So if you are a B2B company, it's suggested that at least you should have 100 paying customers, or 100 customers who are using your product. And if you're a B2C company, then you should at least have 2,000 users who are using your product continuously to make sense out of that data, right? Because a lot of the users who come up and use your product on day one might not even be there on day seven, right? So then the numbers don't mean anything. So make sure that whatever you are measuring is backed by enough users and their journeys. Now, how do you know which specific metrics you have to measure? Again, it depends on the user, like on your product life cycle, the business goal you're optimizing for. But to give you an idea, there can be different metrics at different stages of a product life cycle. So let's say you are you're a product manager at a company which has just launched a product, and they are trying to see how the growth of users has been, right? Like, then the analytics that you might want to measure is week on week user growth, which particular traffic channels are users coming from. Uh, you might also want to understand which age group or demographics these particular user segment is coming from. The growth analysis is basically when your goal is to optimize for user growth and measure how the user base is growing, so that you can have features, or better product designs uh, put in place for you to increase your number of users every week or every month or whatever, or daily, whatever your metric is. Second is engagement statistics. So when I say engagement statistics, you are measuring your daily active users, your weekly active users. You are measuring what are the actions that they are taking. You might want to put triggers or events at specific tasks. If you are a product like a community where people are supposed to comment or like or share, what you want to maybe put your events, or analytics for is things like these: how many users are commenting, at which particular stage are users commenting, how many people are coming back again, how many people are, um, so basically how are people engaging with your product. Now I have written user engagement and event engagement as separate points as the third and the fourth point. The reason for that is when you are putting in your tracking tools or you are putting in your tracking metrics, what you are doing is so basically there are user properties and there are event properties that you might want to track. When I say user properties, you might want to track things like users age group, users, a user journey you are trying to track. When I say event, you don't care who exactly the user is. You are basically trying to track how many people clicked on the share button, how many. So clicking on a share button is an event. So that is where you are tracking event engagement. Then you have flow analysis. When I say flow analysis, you are tracking the entire user flow. So let us say you have a user flow, which is user is in the app. You have acquired a user, you're engaging a user, you are converting a user, and you are retaining a user. So you have four flows basically of a customer journey. So you can have a flow analysis where you're tracking at every funnel of the user's interaction with your product. How is he interacting? So there you get to know which particular metrics or uh, to analyze for each particular flow in the life cycle. Then the next point is retention or churn analysis. It is very common. A lot of companies do that. Basically, you see how your D1 retention is, how your D3 retention is, how many users are basically coming back to your app or your product, or how many users are coming back again, or how many users you lose every time. Then you have financial metrics, which is basically lifetime value and customer acquisition cost. Financial metrics basically tell you how much you have paid to acquire a user and how much value that user gives you over the entire life cycle of them using your product. So actually these are the major places where you generally put your analytics at. But then I've also put the last point, which is predictive analytics, wherein a lot of companies now have data teams which analyzes all the events, all the user actions, and they try to make a model wherein they are predicting which users have a chance to churn, or which users have a chance to engage. Or you can also see um, the users who are actually using your product a lot of times, like who are your power users, which specific features are they using. Maybe you want to just push out those features to the users who are not coming back to your app every day. So basically you can have a predictive analytics of what's going to happen in the future, plus you can also have an understanding of which features to push to your other users basis the performance or a great engagement or great retention of specific features to a certain segment of your user base. Um, then the next point, so basically this is about product analytics. I've also put up an assignment that we can do, which is about what metrics would you look at to evaluate LinkedIn success? So if you are a LinkedIn product manager, what metrics would you evaluate to measure the success? So I've put the deadline for the same as 8th of May, and we can have the next session on 9th of May, so that everybody is aligned and I don't have to shoot out an email for the same. So what I'll do is I'll take up any questions that you guys have now. Um,
Hi Trisha.
Hi.
My question is like, what are the tools that usually product analysts use?
Okay. So there are different, so basically there are multiple tools in the market. There is something called Mixpanel, there's something called CleverTap. You also have like Heap Analytics, Kissmetrics. There are various tools, Amplitude, that you can use to measure analytics. It depends on a company's budget and what you are optimizing for actually. But if you like to understand about it, what you can have a look at is you can have a look at Mixpanel. I personally use Mixpanel for product analytics at my organization. It helps you basically put in events for different actions, like how many people visited a particular class page, or how many people visited your blog, or how many people clicked on the login button. So you can set up specific events. Like I personally use Mixpanel, but I have like there are other tools as well, like I mentioned, that does the same, like Amplitude, Deep Analytics. You can have a look at any of those tools.
Thank you. And just one more question, like for a person is very new to product analytics, what are the skills that he should build upon in terms of hard skills mostly?
Okay, so a lot of organizations have specific roles designated for product analysts. If you're aiming to get into a product analyst role, I would suggest you to brush up on your Excel skills, R skills, and Tableau skills, because those will give you a better idea of how to make sense of data and how to derive insights from those. uh, I think this works pretty well for even product managers who don't have product analysts to support them. So Excel, like if you have a tech team, they generally give you a dump of data in Excel, or if you know SQL, you can just write queries to extract that data. But after you have the data, what is actually important is how you make sense of that data. So you can do that either using Excel or R. Tableau is a visualization tool which will, like, if you want to visualize the data, it helps you like build in reports, or if you're having making a presentation to give to your stakeholders, that helps.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hello, Trisha.
Hi.
Hello. I just have a question. I'm not sure if it's related to this or not. It's related to product management. I'm looking for like a complete course to teach me the product management. What do you recommend in this situation?
Um, I have not taken any specific course for product management, so I don't know what is out in the market as of now. But I guess there are quite a good number of places where you have product management courses, like Udemy or even Upgrad. But I'm not sure exactly, how those courses are. But I think that they would definitely give you a general holistic idea of what product management is about. I would personally recommend, like, if I were in your place and I was trying to understand what product management is about, and practice interviews, or just see how companies use product management in general, I would rather read up blogs or articles or case studies put up by these companies to have a real life, understanding of how these theories are applied in practice. But to have a theoretical knowledge, if you're looking for something, you can obviously look at Upgrad or Udemy. For I think Udemy has product management courses which are at very cheap rates, like I think because of the current global scenario.
Thank you very much.
um, so guys, anybody else has any questions? Okay, so what we can